Most people would be crying if their own sister kicked them out of her wedding 48 hours before the ceremony. Most people would be begging for forgiveness. But I wasn't crying. I was sitting on my balcony, sipping a glass of Merlot, watching the sun go down, and staring at my phone. It was ringing, again and again. First my mom, then my dad, then my sister, Sarah. 15 missed calls, 30 texts, and finally a voicemail that I didn't even need to listen to because I knew exactly what it said. They weren't calling to apologize. They were calling because they had just arrived at the wedding venue, the fairy tale castle Sarah had dreamed of since she was 5, and found the gates locked with a heavy iron chain. They were calling because they had just realized something I had known for months, but they were too arrogant to remember. Sarah might have been the bride, but I was the one who signed the checks. She told me I wasn't welcome at her wedding? Fine, I guess that meant the venue wasn't welcome either. To understand why I did this, you have to understand Sarah. Sarah is 3 years younger than me, and from the moment she was born, she was the princess. I was the prototype, she was the masterpiece. When I got straight A's, my parents said, "Good job, that's expected." When Sarah got a C-, they hired a private tutor and took her out for ice cream to cheer her up. I worked 2 jobs through college to pay my tuition. Sarah? My parents remortgaged their house to send her to a private liberal arts school where she majored in, well, to be honest, I still don't know what she majored in. Social networking, maybe. So when Sarah got engaged to a guy named Brad, a nice enough guy but totally spineless, I knew exactly how this was going to go. It was going to be the royal wedding of the century, and my parents were going to bankroll it, even though they were broke. But then reality hit. We were sitting at the kitchen table 6 months ago. Sarah had this massive binder titled The Dream. She slammed it down and opened it to a page featuring the Oakwood estate. It was a sprawling vineyard with a historic mansion. It cost $25,000 just to unlock the front door. "Mom, Dad," she said, eyes wide and glistening with fake tears. "This is it. This is where I start my life." My dad sighed, rubbing his temples. "Sarah, honey, we checked the savings. We can do the church hall, maybe the Marriott downtown. We just don't have 25 grand. The tears stopped being fake and started being real. Full meltdown mode, screaming, throwing things. "You promised. You said you were my princess." My mom looked at me, that look, the look that meant, "Fix this. You're the successful one. You're the big sister. Fix it." I'm an architect. I do well for myself, but $25,000 is a lot of money. "OP," my mom said softly, "you just got that bonus, didn't you? Think of it as a wedding gift. It's your sister's one special day." I looked at Sarah. She wasn't crying anymore. She was looking at me expectantly, not gratefully, expectantly, like it was her due. And like an idiot, I caved. "Fine," I said. "I'll pay for the venue, but that is my only gift. No registry, no shower gift. The venue is it." Sarah squealed and hugged me. "You're the best sister ever. I'm gonna make you maid of honor." Famous last words. Over the next 6 months, Sarah transformed. The Oakwood estate wasn't enough. She needed imported flowers. She needed a live string quartet. She needed a Dove release. Every time my parents said they couldn't afford something, Sarah would throw a tantrum until they pulled out a credit card. They were drowning in debt for this party, and I was watching it happen like a slow-motion car crash. Meanwhile, my role as maid of honor was basically unpaid slave labor. I was addressing envelopes until 3 a.m. I was driving 2 hours to pick up fabric swatches. But the cracking point came 2 days before the wedding, the rehearsal dinner. We were at the venue I paid for. I was wearing the dress Sarah had picked out for me. It was hideous. Think Pepto-Bismol pink with riffles that made me look like a demented cupcake. But I wore it because I was the good sister. Sarah walked in, took one look at me and frowned. "OP," she said, loud enough for the entire bridal party to hear, "you look tired." "I've been up setting up the centerpieces, Sarah," I said. She scoffed. "Well, fix it. And your hair. The red is clashing with the pink. It looks trashy. You need to dye it brown before Saturday." The room went silent. I love my red hair. It's natural." "Excuse me?" I laughed, thinking she was joking. "I'm serious," she snapped. "The photos are going to be forever. I can't have you looking like a distraction. Dye it brown or wear a wig." I put down my glass. "Sarah, I paid $25,000 for this room we are standing in. I am not dyeing my hair." She stepped closer, her face turning that ugly shade of red she gets when she's told no. "You think because you flashed some cash you own me? This is my day, my vision. If you can't support that, then maybe you shouldn't be standing next to me." "Are you serious?" I asked. "Dead serious. Dye the hair or you're out of the bridal party." I looked at my parents. My mom was staring at her shoes. My dad was pretending to examine a fork. They weren't going to say a word. They were going to let her bully me, just like always. Something inside me snapped. It wasn't a loud snap. It was quiet. It was the sound of a bridge burning. "Okay," I said calmly. "I'm out." I turned to leave. Sarah wasn't done. She wanted to win. "And don't bother coming as a guest either," she screamed at my back. "I don't want your negative energy there. You're uninvited. Get out." I walked out the double doors of the Oakwood estate. I got into my car. My hands were shaking, not from sadness, but from pure rage. I drove home in silence. About halfway there, my phone buzzed. A text from my mom. "You need to turn around and apologize. She's stressed. Dye your hair, it'll grow back. Don't ruin this for the family. Don't ruin this for the family." I parked my car in my driveway. I sat there for a long time. I thought about the tuition I paid myself. I thought about the missed vacations. I thought about the $25,000 check that cleared from my savings account 4 months ago. I pulled out the contract for the Oakwood estate. I had kept it in my glove box. I scanned the fine print. The contracting party reserves the right to cancel the event up to 24 hours prior, subject to a forfeiture of the deposit. The contracting party. That was me. Not Sarah. Not my parents. Me. My signature was on the dotted line. It was 5:55 p.m. The venue office closed at 5 p.m. I called the number. "Oakwood Estate, this is Brenda speaking." "Hi, Brenda. This is OP. I'm the contract holder for the Miller-Jones wedding this Saturday." "Oh, hello, dear. We're all getting ready for the big day. Is everything okay?" "Actually, no," I said. "There's been a change of plans. I need to cancel the event." Silence. Long, heavy silence. I'm sorry?" Brenda stammered. "The wedding is 36 hours. The food is ordered. The staff is scheduled." "I understand," I said. "I am aware I will lose the deposit. I am exercising my right under Clause 4A to cancel the reservation immediately. Please lock the facility." Does the bride know?" Brenda asked, her voice dropping to a whisper. "The bride uninvited the contracting holder, so technically she doesn't have a venue." "I see," Brenda said. She sounded shocked but professional. "I will process the cancellation. I'll need you to email a confirmation immediately." "Sent," I said, hitting send on the email I had drafted while talking. "Done," Brenda said. "It's canceled." "Thank you, Brenda." I hung up. I went inside, I poured myself that glass of wine, and I waited. The explosion didn't happen that night. Sarah assumed I was sulking at home. She assumed I would come back crawling in the morning with a bottle of brown hair dye. The explosion happened at 9 a.m. the next morning. Sarah, her bridesmaids, and my mother arrived at Oakwood to start decorating. They pulled up to the massive iron gates. They were locked. My phone started ringing at 9:05. I let it ring. By 9:30, my dad was calling. He left a voicemail. He sounded breathless. "OP, pick up the phone. There's been a mistake. The venue people are saying you canceled the wedding. Tell them it's a mistake. Sarah is hyperventilating. Fix this." I didn't fix it. I turned my phone off and went to a spa for the day, a very expensive spa. When I turned my phone back on that evening, the chaos was biblical. The wedding was off. They had to call 150 guests and tell them not to come. They lost the money for the flowers, the DJ, the catering, all of it, non-refundable, because the vendors had nowhere to go. Sarah tried to sue me. She actually got a lawyer. The lawyer took one look at the contract, saw my name as the sole payer and signer, and laughed her out of his office. It's not illegal to cancel a party you paid for. My parents stopped talking to me for 3 months. When they finally reached out, it was because they needed money to help Sarah with the debt she accrued from the vendors. I sent them a link to a job application at Starbucks. I haven't seen Sarah since. Last I heard, Brad, the spineless groom, woke up. He realized that if she treated her own sister like that, his life was going to be a nightmare. He called off the engagement 2 weeks later. Sometimes I feel a little guilty, but then I remember the look on her face when she told me to dye my hair, and I remember that I have an extra $25,000 saved up again. I think I'll go on a vacation, somewhere with a nice vineyard, and I'll toast to the wedding that never was.